as we know, Hallam won the EU Search Awards Best Large Integrated Agency Award. Over the last 2 quarters, it's been challenging for the world, not just for Hallam. So I'm just interested to begin with, how's the team been faring, particularly since the start of Covid, which again, it has been an incredibly difficult period for just everyone, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's been very difficult. Just like everyone else in our economy, we've had to go through a period of adapting to this new normal that everybody talks about. And we had a short-term drop in revenue at the beginning of lockdown, which we adapted to very quickly. Our finance team did an amazing job of getting on top of everything, negotiating pauses with clients, and making sure that the future of the company in the short term was safeguarded. And then, secondly, our team and our culture is actually really what saw us through. Everybody pulled together. Everybody adapted incredibly quickly, actually, to the changes. And I would say the team is doing incredibly well now. Given the circumstances and the difficulties of working remotely, I think the morale is high. We've onboarded, team members like yourself, Tom, onto the team during lockdown, and I genuinely feel like we're in a really great place right now. Not because of lockdown, but I would say despite that.
Absolutely. Just following on from that first question, it'd be interesting to know sort of what is next for the team and for the agency off the back of this huge award win.
So the award's been an amazing thing. It's almost like a culmination of all the great work that we've done over the years. But it's not the end. I mean, we just keep building, we keep going, we keep building, we keep doing the thing that we've always done, which is keep striving to be the best integrated agency that we possibly can. So what's next for us is we just keep going, we keep building, and we keep plowing ahead into the future.
Something you did mention in the previous question when we were looking at this is internationally you want to be recognized. Is that sort of really hot on the agenda now?
Yeah, I think that over the last few months we've undergone an industrial revolution in the space of weeks, where normally would have taken 10 years probably. I think with that, what we've got now is a breakdown of borders and a breakdown of physical limitations to business, right? So for sure, international expansion is important for us, not because we want to open offices around the world, but because we're open for business with anyone from around the planet, and there's no reason why we couldn't do that online. So our ambitions are most definitely well beyond our shores.
I want to take you back slightly. So you obviously became CEO. I think it was at the beginning of May. So what challenges did you meet during the COVID-19 outbreak, and how did you overcome them? I guess that'd be a good point to start off with before we look at maybe advice that you pass on. So stepping into CEO shoes must have been pretty difficult in the midst of COVID-19.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a bit of both actually, because we'd already planned the roles before COVID happened, and we actually accelerated the switch. We were going to do it in June. We ended up doing it in May, and the reason why is because we thought that it was a time for leadership, and it was a time for being decisive and being fast thinking. So I'm a little bit. Of course, it's overwhelming to take over a company during probably the most demanding financial situation we've had since the last recession. But at the same time, it's been incredibly rewarding and incredibly good to see everyone's resilience and commitment to doing well. In terms of challenges, the first challenge we had was a lot of our clients were really struggling. Like there was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of companies who didn't know how they would progress. But what we've found and what we actually thought would happen in the first place was what they've done is adapt and realize that actually they just need to be a different type of company, and that the economy of February will never return. And what we've got instead is something else, which is much more digitally focused, much more fast moving and much more dynamic. It's uncertain, sure, but uncertainty also means an opportunity for change, and that's what we want to embrace.
Absolutely. What's the biggest piece of advice you'd give to any other agency in our position if they were to face a problem like this again?
Don't be blindsided by the short-term impact of your decisions. I think even though we have an instinct to survive right now and to be focused on the now and on tomorrow and paying the bills and so on, that long-term thinking is what's going to actually get you through this. And I think being true to your values and making sure that you're driven by purpose, not just profit, and that you're focused on doing the right things, both for your team and for your clients. That's the best piece of advice. I think also don't be afraid to make a decision. Be bold and be confident and lean on others. One of the other things that I've been doing is speaking to a lot of CEOs and leaders from other agencies and just having a chat and trying to create alliances and relationships and friendships, because it's a big marketplace, it's a big world, and there is an opportunity for collaboration and interconnection between companies.
Absolutely. On to question 3. I think the best thing about sort of agency life is that we were well equipped and trained to work remotely, and we always had that capacity to do that. So during the outbreak, we were all able to work from home. However, we assume, or the DAN assumes, that you have clients from different sectors that are not familiar with online meetings. How do you manage video calls instead of in-person meetings with them, and how do your customers feel about it?
I think that was probably one of the biggest challenges initially, right? First of all, one of the things that makes agencies great is people being together, sitting together side by side. You learn so much from having people around you, or you absorb information that's you'd never heard before, because you're surrounded by experts, right? One of the difficulties with remote work is unless you physically start a call, you don't hear from anyone, right? So that's a difficult thing. I think we were fortunate because about a year ago we made the conscious decision of having effectively unlimited home working policies, where people could work from home as long as they wanted. So we were set up to use Slack and Hangouts and Zoom and all these things. So for us, actually, the transition was quite simple, I would say, in terms of technology and so on. What I think is difficult is simple things like eye contact, body language, knowing when to speak, being able to read a room. Those things become very difficult online, and having online meetings are actually more exhausting than having physical meetings, because you have to monitor multiple little windows on your screen, and you have to look at the camera if you're trying to engage, which a lot of people don't do. You constantly interrupting without meaning to, and it becomes very tiring actually to do online meetings. However, what I'm finding is when you actually meet people face to face now, it's odd because they look you in the eye. That doesn't happen in online meetings that often, because people are looking at the screens or whatever, and the energy is different, and then you have to sort of readjust. So I think in terms of clients at the very beginning, it was a bit weird trying to do creative sessions, trying to do strategy workshops and things like that online was quite difficult. But I think as the months have gone on, I think they themselves have adopted remote working policies and remote working practices that actually now it's second nature. We're pitching for work, and we're having very productive meetings remotely without much interruption. And I think what is proved actually is, first of all, how unnecessary travel is actually quite often, and secondly, how a lot of meetings are actually not needed. So you're able to compress a lot more stuff into fewer meetings. You're able to have more important meetings a day because you don't have to travel to London or to Manchester or whatever. And it's also made it much easier for us to work internationally. So we've started working with more companies in the US and in Europe, because online meetings are now a very accepted, normal way of doing business rather than an exception. So I personally see it as a great opportunity to save the planet, travel less, waste less money on driving and trains and all this stuff, and to have more influential, important people in a room quicker without having to organize logistics. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I think some of the things with online meetings will hopefully will remain forever, actually, because it makes us more productive. So but I do think we need a balance. We still need to be able to see each other face to face. I think that's also important.
Quite like this next question. What are free remote working tools your team has been using either internally or externally during the outbreak, and what are your particular thoughts on them? I guess for us, particularly at Hallam, we use that many. I guess it's probably down the three.
I think that the three most important, Slack without a doubt is the most important one. I mean, if we hadn't had Slack, I don't know what we would have done. I think Google Hangouts also has been brilliant. And then the third one I would say would be Notion, actually, because we've been able to keep everything documented centrally with real-time collaboration, where we've built wikis and we've built client hubs and built all kinds of cool stuff in a really collaborative online space. That's worked really well. I think there is one more I would say, which is the designers use, which is called Figma, which is an online browser-based design tool, which has replaced Photoshop and all these other things, which means that designers can collaborate on the same design file remotely without having to send files to each other. If it hadn't been for that, I would say our whole design department would have ground to a halt. So that was another great decision that we made a year ago.
I think question 5 is possibly toughest on here just because of how diverse we are as an agency. But what are your clients mainly focused on, and how has COVID affected these industries? I guess it's, again, for us, probably impossible to answer because of how diverse we are as an agency and we work with multiple sectors.
It's difficult to answer, but I think there are some patterns. We have a lot of clients who are in B2B and manufacturing. I think they saw an immediate slowdown, but then they've seen the economy begin to pick up again. I think we've also got a lot of clients in software and technology, which I think they've seen quite a bit of growth in this time. And the other thing that we've seen recently is e-commerce. So we've started working with more and more e-commerce clients, both in B2B and B2C. And that unquestionably, and this won't be a surprise to anyone, that is where the growth is going to be, because you're seeing a mass migration of money from physical stores to online stores, and now is I think the golden age of e-commerce is about to begin. So now it's the time to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually touch on question 6 with that answer, and it also ties into an article that's recently you've done for The Drum in terms of that digital first mindset. So question 6, the companies which have survived the first few months of the coronavirus outbreak have been getting back to business. We would love to hear your observations and experience regarding actions by different sectors during post-COVID-19 era. And I guess it does tie back into what you were saying within your digital first article. It's those that do make that switch. They're the ones thriving right now.
Yeah, I think it's a very complex question with quite a few different answers. But I think we've spoken about this already before, Tom. It's about embracing a digital first mindset. That having a good digital experience and a good digital marketing strategy is as important as having buildings or trucks or whatever it is that you rely on otherwise to do work. It's as important as that, and not because, and it's because digital is no longer a route to growth and expansion. It's because it's a survivalism strategy now. You have to do it, and I think that we're combining this industrial revolution that I talked about, the biggest change in consumer behavior in history, with a generational change where 70% of B2B workforces are now millennial or younger. You have this sort of perfect storm of rising expectations from a younger digital native audience, and you have a changing marketplace that's focused entirely on, or mostly on online experiences. If you're not adapting to that future, I think you're at risk of not existing for much longer. My personal prediction. So that doesn't mean that agencies are just going to be here to pick up the work, actually, because I think the other thing that's going to happen is brands and companies are going to invest in in-house teams. They're going to start building their own digital capabilities. So I think the role of the agency also has to change, and we have to go beyond implementers and optimizers towards consultants, architects, advisors, strategists. And I think our own role is going to change. This isn't just going to be more digital work in the way we did it 5 years ago. I think it's going to change.
Looks like we're looking for a little bit of insight here into the future of Hallam, but as you've rightly alluded to there, that digital marketing is evolving every single day, and digital agencies are the ones who need to adapt quickly as to succeed during that. So with that in mind, DAN, they do want to know, can you mention some of your investment plans for business development in Q4? Have you got any plans for the future for what we're looking at?
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna invest in automation, technology. I think that's the future of our industry, and strategic services, consulting, deeper work. I think what our clients want from us is depth, not just size or SEO or PPC or design or whatever it is. I think they're looking for depth. They're looking for an integrated, carefully composed strategies that are gonna be focused on outcomes. So our investment is in two really quite different areas. Things like strategic thinking, critical thinking, consulting, solutions thinking, and automation, technical depth, data management, all those kind of things. It's those two areas where we're primarily focusing our efforts.
Absolutely. Question 8, second to last. So as an effect of the coronavirus pandemic, investments in digital marketing have been rising, which promotes higher competition between the digital agencies. Considering all of these, what are your plans to promote your business in the last quarter of 2020? It's something that we've been doing quite well. I think we've built up a bit of momentum as an agency when it comes to that promotion. So what do you think Q4 particularly looks like when it comes to promoting the agency and the work we do?
I think part of it is brand awareness, staying top of mind and being part of the conversation when it comes to people associating their future with digital. We need to be part of that. We need to be part of that conversation. But I think also I talk a lot about us being distinctive and making sure that we're not just recognized because we win awards, but also that we're recognized because of how we do things and the way that we work and the way that we make an impact on the work on our clients. So I think it's really important for us to double down on our identity and double down on what really makes us good, and to be top of mind and be ever present where it's suitable, but always through the lens of sophistication and the lens of making sure that we're making impact and those things, rather than just shouting about awards or harping on about the same thing that we always talk about. It's about being just almost elevating a little further, being more sophisticated, a bit more considered with how you do things, and just trying to usher a new era for Hallam and for our clients.
And just finally, it's one personally for DAN. How does being a DAN member contribute to your agency's success? I guess it's a big part of that brand awareness piece that you was talking about there.
Yeah, I think we're very proud of our place within the agency landscape. I wouldn't say that we are an agency that focuses that much on being part of a scene or part of a sort of like collective as such, but we're proud of our heritage and our place. I think being a member of DAN and being a member of trade organizations that we're close to, being close to our strategic partners, that is a big part of how we work. And for us, like the future of Hallam is about depth and sophistication. And I think close partnerships with meaningful and positive organizations is a big part of the way that we work. And I think also having access to the type of information and the type of connections are also a vital part of our future.